All right. Hello, hello, hello.
We
Hello,
made
out there,
it.
everybody out there
We made
in
it back.
internet land. Yes.
Yes.
Hopefully, y'all
To
have
our tens of
had a
listeners.
awesome. Yeah. Hopefully, y'all have had a wonderful break. Hopefully, better than ours. Our water pipes burst. Well, not ours specifically, but the water pipes in our apartment complex burst, and they had to shut the water off Christmas Eve, and we didn't get it back till New Year's Eve.
Oh God. Well,
Yeah.
Wow.
you topped me. I was in a car accident a week ago Monday. Luckily no one was hurt, just our car.
Oh,
But
jeez.
we just got a call yesterday that cuz my wife was driving that she was not at fault in the accident. So, I guess that's good news.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, that's very good news. Well, awesome. So, are they going to fix your vehicle? Was the vehicle badly
We do,
damaged, or is it fixable?
we don't know yet, but the radiator was basically like next to the passenger side and was leaking, and the
That
passenger
ain't
door
Yeah,
could not open.
that ain't good.
man.
No, so we'll see. But the
Yeah.
place insurance told us to take it to were closed all last week, and they just opened Monday. And yesterday we went over there and signed the paperwork. So I guess
Oh,
we'll see what the damage is.
yeah.
Right.
Hopefully you can
Wow.
get
Well,
it
I'm glad no
fixed.
one was hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
I start.
I'm
Oh, sorry.
mainly just going to complain about how shit my day was. I mean, you guys, Cody, it wasn't as bad as being in a car accident. Uh, you know, because I'm alive, and I'm glad you guys are. Uh,
Yeah,
and Nick, it sounds like you had a pretty decent day or time, except for your water being shut off. And
yeah. That was the least
but,
fun about it.
right,
Yeah, what's weird about us being
but you
in
know
that
what?
accident is just the week prior is one of Jessica's former coworkers died on 241 in
Oh,
an accident.
I
oh, jeez.
Yes, yeah, I knew them. I was very sad.
Mm.
Still can't believe, still kind of a shock that that happened, but and
I'm
not far from
sorry.
our house either. And yeah,
Yeah, it was on 241, right?
that's,
Like
that's
right where you go from Rusk, you take that cutoff, instead of going to Alto.
Hmm.
right. Well, they just had another wreck on the other side of 241 today, not
Mm.
far out of Alto, and it's that road. People drive too fast on that road, and you can't. Uh, but yeah, it can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I hit.
But
I was like, there are at least two or three accidents on I-20 and I-30 a day. So yeah, I
mm,
definitely could say that don't people don't drive safely.
right. Well, but you know
Yeah.
what? I'm glad that we're here and we're able to sit down and talk. I do not wish wrecks upon anyone. Cody, I'm glad that you guys are safe. By the
Oh,
way,
of
I think I
Thank.
course not.
probably mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
But guys, yeah, we're back again this week, and we decided to kick off the new year, 2023. I had to think for just a second. I'm still in that phase where it's like, what year is this? And then
Just
you
look
write
at the
it down.
clock
You're
on the
right.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we decided to go with Marvel. We to start off the year and cover Marvel, um, which is kind of a bit different because we've been covering a wide range of everything, but mainly older films. But hey, why not?
Yeah.
And I think we
Yeah, we
decided to
did.
go uh, with Marvel timeline. So we're gonna go MCU timeline order instead of release date order. So this
So,
week we're covering Captain America and Ms. Marvel. Or
Well, Captain Marvel,
Captain
Miss
Marvel.
Marvel,
Captain
but
Marvel.
Miss Marvel will be
Ms.
showing
Mar-
up in the Captain Marvel sequel,
ooh, nice.
Right.
along with
And is
Monica Rambeau, right? Not
and
Maria,
Steve
because
Rogers.
Maria's the friend, Monica's the daughter,
Yes.
which she showed up in
Yes.
WandaVision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she became Photon, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, actually, now that I think about it, do you think there
So.
might be a next wave movie?
Ooh.
Potential.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, I remember when Captain America the First Avenger first came out, and I put on my Facebook timeline, after Red Brown and fake ears and an Italian red skull, we finally got a good Captain America movie.
And you know why I think partly why we got a good Captain America movie is
Why?
because the guy who directed The Rocketeer directed Captain America the First Avenger.
Oh yeah, Joe Johnston is
Isn't
a one of the
that
probably one of the best
Johnson?
journeyman filmmakers out there. Like I know he did The Rocketeer. He
Mm-hmm.
also did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Uh,
The first Jumanji.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, when I heard he was directing this, I'm like, yeah, the guy that did The Rocketeer, he will make exactly what the first Captain America needs to be, which is a pulpy, fun World War II action film.
Yeah, yeah, and
Oh, that movie is so. I watched it the day before yesterday. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen this movie multiple times, but I hadn't seen it in probably close to a year, maybe more. Just
yeah,
because I had seen it so many times, but like, going back and rewatching it, it is still just so much fun. And since you brought up the Rocketeer, it does have that Rocketeer quality to it. And again, it's Joe Johnson giving us his magic. But you're right, Cody. He gave us that pulpy, fun, adventurous. Like it was dark, but not too dark.
uh, it was mature.
Yeah,
Uh,
it wasn't
Yeah,
corny or cheesy, but it was still comic booky, right? Because we got like the whole Red Skull's evil plot and these Hydra goons running around screaming, "Hell Hydra!"
oh yeah, or Lindsay Ellis said in her video essays, "Hang glider."
yeah.
But yeah, and I think this movie
Well,
gets overlooked because of the sequels and the
Yeah,
other MCU movies, but this is definitely, if not the best Phase 1 Marvel movie, it's right up there with the first Iron Man, in my opinion.
I agree,
oh, it
and
is.
yeah,
It's
you're right. The sequels do get. Um, well, I would say this movie gets overlooked more because of the sequels. It's not, and it wasn't because that it was a bad movie. Far from it. It was a very good movie, but the sequels really up the ante. Um, because we'll definitely get into that later. But I always felt um, when reading Captain America comics that the best kind of Captain America stories are um, Steve Rogers is a man who has never lost his sense of decency. How does he apply it in a world that is disinterested in decency?
Yeah, and I think that's what makes, especially when these movies are being made, makes Captain America a refreshing character because the MCU is kind of coming into light as the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy's coming to a close. And Hollywood was like, oh, we want dark and brooding. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't work for every superhero. You can't Batman
No.
every superhero.
No, as been
Well, okay,
evidenced
I'll put
with
it.
Batman v Superman.
Look what they did with Superman, and I'm not saying I don't like the Superman movies, but they made Superman. In my opinion, if they had gone the route of Captain America, First Avenger with Man of Steel, I think it would have resulted. I think the results would have been better because I think they went
What?
right off the bat. They tried to take Superman into a darker place, and to me, Superman equals Captain America in my book. Like they're both,
Yes, I
you know, they
agree.
Yeah.
stand for truth,
And
justice,
you
and
know
the
what a
American way.
DC
They're big
movie that kind of parallels this much better than Superman is the first Wonder Woman movie.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, of
Like I,
course, Wonder Woman is pretty much right around that time when Warner Brothers and DC started course correcting.
right.
Yeah,
We're trying to.
but
Yeah.
this movie's just a lot of fun. I think Chris Evans was a great casting choice, even though he had been Johnny Storm in those Fantastic Four movies that aren't part of the MCU.
You know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because yeah, Chris Evans played Human Torch in in those Fantastic Four movies, um, and he gets cast as Captain America, and it's the biggest the biggest movie of his career, the biggest role of his career, and then Michael B. Jordan gets cast as Johnny Storm in Four Stick.
That's right. I've still
And
never seen that movie.
from what
I
I've been
tried.
told, it's it just keep right on ignoring it, but then he ends up getting cast as Killmonger, and everyone talks about how he's the MCU's best villain.
I
Suck it,
mean,
Thanos.
I mean, if he's not the best, he's right up there because what makes, and I think we talked about this, but what makes Killmonger interesting is I'm not agreeing with his policies or what his actions, but I get where he's coming from.
Well, yeah. I've said this many times before, and I'll say it right now. Killmonger had good points. Magneto had good points. Having good points is not the same as being right. It does not justify for a scorched earth philosophy.
Exactly.
It may justify action, like it may justify some civil disobedience, but yeah, don't try to extinct humanity. But and they also he also gets called out by T'Challa, says, basically saying you have become that which you hate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But
Oh no, it's
but
really
yeah,
easy to.
yeah,
Hugo.
we will definitely
Yeah,
go back to back Black Panther in a later setting. But yeah, you would say Hugo Weaving, best Red Skull.
absolutely. And I don't know what the issues were if he did not enjoy making this movie or he just had no interest in reprising the role for like the Infinity War Endgame stuff, but he's really good. And they talk about, like, especially in phase 1, like the villains not being that good. The Red Skull, Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull is a good villain.
Yeah, honestly, I wish. I mean, I can understand why they didn't bring him back because they wanted things to be a little bit more believable, not necessarily realistic, but believable. But also, I kind of think maybe Hugo Weaving was just unavailable at the time because because the Red Skull was only in those few scenes in. I think it was only just one scene in Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, it's when I forget which stone.
Soul.
It's the Soul Stone. Yeah, it's that whole sequence in
Yeah.
both films.
Yeah, where
Well, see,
Gamora
that's what
got
I'm wondering. Is he
fridged.
touched the he touched the tesseract and got beamed up or transported away? And of course, everyone's like, "Oh, he's dead." But
Yeah,
even then, I
because
was like, "No, he didn't die.
we
He
didn't know
screams.
that.
You can hear him screaming, and he's being zapped to wherever." So for years, I kept saying like, "Oh man, Red Skull. They're saving him for something big." Uh, he's going to be back with a vengeance. He'll come back uh, in another Captain America, and then we never got him, which is it's fine. Like I'm okay with that. Um, but I can also kind of see where the argument, like you were saying, Cody, where people thought that the Phase One villains weren't that interesting. He was an amazing Red Skull, but I don't know. I felt like there should have been a more of a more of a climactic battle between
Oh,
the
for
two.
sure.
Maybe that's what they were getting at. Is he just gets they kind of scuffle on the plane and then he gets zapped away, and then that's kind of it.
But I
So,
mean, you can
Yeah.
make an argument, except for a handful of characters, that Marvel still kind of has a villain problem overall.
right. Thor, cough, cough. But
Well, Loki was more of an anti-villain than
Yeah,
straight up villain,
yeah.
and
Well,
but
we
and
were
of course
talking
Tom
about.
Hiddleston, he knocks it out of the park every time he played Loki.
Oh, he's brilliant,
Hmm.
and he was great in the show too. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but
the Loki show's a lot of fun. Actually, I think Tom Hiddleston's what makes the first two Thor movies watchable.
yeah, yeah, we're talking about that earlier. Is the origin stories kind of being hit or miss? Like Iron Man, excellent origin story. Captain America, awesome origin story. Thor, on the other hand, had a meh origin story, and I think it was the movie in general. Like,
I
I felt that
I'll,
it just didn't feel like.
I'll have to
It
respectfully disagree with you on that one because I actually did like the Thor movies. I mean, yeah,
No, I like Thor, but when you compare them to the other origin stories, it is kind of lacking a little bit. I'm not saying that I dislike Thor because of that. I enjoy the Thor movies. I think they're fun. Um,
the
yeah, I
but
think
second Thor movie's a bit of a slog, but
yeah,
the first Thor movie's entertaining because it's the fish out of water story, and Chris Hemsworth's great as Thor.
Oh yeah, absolute. And
yeah,
also, yeah, I got to give props to my man JMS for that script, for that kind of story, and him being unable to lift Mjolnir.
yeah.
Uh, but
Uh, Another person I love in this movie, Tommy Lee Jones, probably doesn't remember he's in this movie, but he's just being Tommy Lee Jones. But
I think most of Tommy Lee Jones's roles at this point is just him being Tommy Lee Jones and just they're just filming it.
Right.
it works for
Yeah,
this character.
Yeah.
yeah. Just
I mean, I've heard
rough old
about
man.
how old and crotchety he is in real life too. So
Yeah, yeah, he's not a nice guy from a lot of people's experience working with him.
yeah, but he's, uh, but I would say he
Ask Jim
gets the
Carrey.
job done.
He gets the job done. He plays a perfect general type of character who's like, ah.
Yeah,
I
um,
also really love the fact that we got to see Tony Stark, um,
hey, Howard Stark,
Howard
yeah,
Stark.
Tony
Thank you.
Stark's dad.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. What was that actor's name? Dominic Cooper?
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Who
he was
later went
brilliant.
on in Agent Carter.
Yeah, which Peggy Carter rules. I wish they got to do more with her in the MCU, but
Okay, small rant. Small rant. When Peggy Carter was in the What If series, and they kept referring her to Captain Carter. Call her Captain Britain for God's sake.
Right.
yeah.
We did get to see Captain Britain uh, for a little bit, which I thought was fun.
well, in What If, and spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the Multiverse of Madness, it's readily available. It's been out for multiple months now. You get to
Yeah,
see Haley Atwell as Captain Carter in that alternate universe.
yeah.
Yeah,
My cat decides he wants to be part of the podcast now. We're-
um, and then for you Doctor Who fans, blink and you'll miss Jenna Coleman, Clara Oswald, in this movie, as she's the girl Bucky is on the date with when they go to the World's Fair or whatever it is, Expo.
Yeah.
yeah.
And did you
Well,
guys, speaking of the World's Fair, did you guys see the original Human Torch in the background?
yes, that was like one of the biggest. That was one of the first things that most fan sites pointed out. Oh my God! Did you see the original Human Torch?
Yes.
And I would imagine that's a nod because both Captain America and the Human Torch were characters that existed before Marvel was Marvel, when they were timely comics.
Yeah.
Right, right. And a shout out to the Howling Commandos as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's his
Yeah.
name? Is Dum Dum Dugan was
Oh
awesome.
God.
What is
no.
his name?
Oh God. Now I can't remember. I just know him as Damien Dark now.
Oh, what is his name? Is it Noah or
Well, he was
Noel?
Neil
He's also
McDonough.
in
Neil
Neil
McDonough.
Star Trek.
Neil McDonough. Yes, he's great.
Yeah, because yeah, he was really good as Dum Dum Dugan. I was just thinking, oh, like I knew you were talking about, but then all of a sudden, oh God, who is like I've known who this guy is because he was he played Damien Dark on Legends of Tomorrow and various Arrowverse shows, and he was the red shirt in Star Trek First Contact.
Yes, yes.
Ah.
Yeah, an old friend of mine from back in my SFA days, like, she is a huge fan of him. Like, there's this one show that he was on called, oh God, it's, now I can't even remember the name of the show, but it's basically, Rashomon in, in modern day LA.
Okay, so you're getting various
Boomtown. That's what it's called.
different perspectives of things. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of the Howling Commandos were pretty awesome, and I kind of liked they put the Howling Commandos in with Captain America and not OG Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
it makes sense, but also because they tried making an OG Nick Fury movie with David Hasselhoff. It didn't go over very well.
That was made for TV, right? For Fox.
Yes,
it was made for Fox. Yes.
At least it saw the light of day. Well, didn't they try to do like some other Marvel comic property that didn't even get aired, like Gen X or?
No, Generation X actually was a movie, but they were trying to do it as a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, it actually had some. It actually had some episodes, and Matt Frewer was in that movie, I believe.
Okay.
Oh.
If I remember correctly.
I remember Matt Frewer being in the movie, but I didn't know he was going to be a recurring character. I barely remember that movie because, like, the only one I remember is Jubilee.
Yeah, I remember Jubilee.
Yeah.
But I think another performance we should highlight before we move on to the other film is Stanley Tucci as the doctor who kind of creates the super soldier.
Dr. Erskine.
Serum. Yeah.
He has some really touching scenes and really points out what makes Steve Rogers the exception to why the experiment works on him
Yeah,
and not on others.
and I just want to point this out to y'all. They go further in uh, later on as to what makes Captain America um, during Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they brought in uh, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, who is, I wouldn't call him Captain America's opposite, but he is more of a type who follows orders and, you know, and goes by the whole by any means necessary. And that ended up with someone's face being caved in by the shield. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
small spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it has been a year, so
Yes.
A year, hasn't it?
yeah, um, and it's not the powers, it's not the whole super soldier thing. That just that just gave him his abilities. The thing is, Steve Rogers has always been a good man.
Yeah, and he will do the right thing even if it's not deemed the popular choice or what. He will go outside the law if it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and that's also why Sam Wilson um, was a good successor to the Captain America title. Also, spoiler alert for into Falcon and Winter Soldier, and basically 5 years worth of Marvel comics. Am I right in there?
Right, yeah, and it's already been confirmed he is the next Captain America, and they are doing a Captain America movie as Sam
I am
Wilson
I am
as
so
Captain
looking
America.
I am so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I really like the direction they took. I know a lot of people were upset that Bucky didn't take Captain America's place like he did in the comic, but in the MCU, in the movies, it makes sense, and it
Yeah,
actually.
especially with what Bucky's whole arc and trauma and everything. Sam
Yeah,
Wilson is definitely the more suitable successor for what Steve's values are.
yeah, and
Right.
Bucky's still trying to rehabilitate himself. Like, they took off. All the all of the programming was wiped away now, uh, he's he's still got a lot of work to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he's in therapy. Uh,
well, well, overall, I think it's one of the best. It's one of the best origin movies that Marvel has put out, and it's side by side, in my opinion, with the first Iron Man movie. Like it's
oh yeah,
Honestly, I think the only solo or origin, if you want to call it origin, even though the character was introduced in a previous film, I think Black Panther is still the best one in that category.
right.
But yeah, I would put first Avenger right up there with the first Iron Man.
see,
All, all three, all three
actually,
of those.
technically, Black Panther's origin wasn't really in his own movie. It was in Civil War.
Right, that's why I said it's
Oh,
technically not an origin movie, but
yeah,
it's his first. It's the first solo movie with that
yeah.
character.
And we'll get into this, when we get into Black Panther. But oh my God, people, we have been waiting for a Black Panther movie for decades. I remember when they were tying Wesley Snipes to that role, and he ended up playing Blade instead, which is definitely not a bad career choice. But the but I'm glad that we ended up waiting that long to get the movie that we did, because it was awesome. It was the same thing with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We were just waiting years and years for a Spider-Man movie, and when we finally got one, oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're
just
gonna side tangent on those at some point. But is there anything else about Captain America: The First Avengers you guys want to talk about?
oh,
mm,
one other thing, and it also still ties into Falcon and Winter Soldier. I just noticed that Steve only really called himself Captain America, kind of ironically. Like he said, "Are you ready to follow Captain America into the jaws of death?" Or, or something like, or when he's freeing the prisoners, says, "I'm Captain America. Don't worry, I've punched out Adolf Hitler 200 times,
yes.
and they were all
which
glorious." But
which
when John Walker introduced himself, "Hi, I'm John Walker. I'm Captain America."
Right.
which I
Like,
love that they did the punch to Hitler, because isn't that the first issue of Captain America? Is
very,
him?
very first issue, very first appearance.
Yeah, I love that whole where he's selling war bonds and making movies and or
Oh
cereals.
yeah,
You know, and
like he's basically a U.S. and uh, how they did that. It's like they brought in the Captain America comics into the movie, so it's sort of this not quite a meta commentary, but uh, definitely something meta.
yeah, and the trading cards. I love the trading cards because doesn't Coulson have like when he's collecting
Yes,
the trading
Yeah,
cards?
because he's asked it when we get to Avengers, which yeah, that movie just rips. Despite Josh Whedon being a horrible human being, he does know how to make a good comic book action movie.
yeah, he does. I
Oh,
mean,
that Avengers
I'll
movie blew my mind. Like that was the first, like seeing everybody together and not just at the end of one of the movies. You know, where he's going around building the team and you're getting hints, but to actually see them all together was just mind blowing. And it still is when you think about it. And they did it in such a good way. Like they translated it and it gelled so well.
it was lightning in a bottle,
Right.
and like it was one of the big theatrical game changers because nowadays everybody's trying to do a cinematic universe or tie in their different movies together,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
uh, the Avengers was um, what really kicked that off.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think
Speak
it's a good
yeah speak
transition into Captain Marvel.
yeah speaking of
Which,
Agent Coulson.
Yeah, with Nick Olson.
which, which, I liked this movie when I saw it. I hadn't rewatched it since I saw it in the theaters. This actually played better for me on second watch. Like,
It didn't hit me quite as hard as the Captain America: First Avenger, but it
oh,
is a solid movie.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, and calm down, internet bros. You can come at me all you want, but I think part of what makes this movie work is Brie Larson as Carol Danvers. I think she's great in the role.
Oh yeah,
yeah, same
um,
here.
yeah. Brie. I do like Brie Larson as an actress, and I love Carol Danvers as a character. I remember first reading about her during classic X-Men when she was Binary,
Mm-hmm.
Oh
and
yeah,
really they kind of I think they kind of combined the or, original Captain Marvel identities and Binary into one for this movie.
Yeah, I think,
But
yeah, that's what it feels like. But yeah, I think she's great. She's charming. I think the little buddy cop movie that it kind of becomes with her and Nick
Samuel,
Fury is
yeah,
great.
her and Samuel L. Jackson, they have really good really good chemistry together. Actually, I later saw them in another. It was a Netflix movie called
Oh
the
yeah, she directed that.
Unicorn Store.
Yeah. Uh, I think Ben Mendelsohn is great. I love how they kind of twist the whole scroll thing and kind of turn it into a refugee story. I love that, like, you think, oh, it's Ben Mendelsohn. He's always creepy or cringy, but no, he's actually not the bad guy in this movie.
Well, also the scrolls are not the bad guys. Period. Because it's just they've been a general bad guy, all through the Fantastic Four comics, and even some of the X. I remember there
Have you
was this
guys
X-Men arc.
have you guys seen the trailer for Secret Invasion?
Yes.
I have
And
not.
that looks amazing. That's going to be great. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you guys read the comics or
See,
got
that
into
was
them.
when Secret Invasion is right around when I stopped reading comics because that was when um, right after One More Day happened.
Yeah, that was the same. I remember we started getting them when we had the shop. Like we got the first part of the story, and then when we closed, I just didn't read any for a long time after that. So I kind of lost track. And then I recently, here in the last couple of years, went back and read it, and it was such a great story arc and kind of a tie-in to. Again, it was after Civil War and all the stuff. The One More Day with Spider-Man going on, and
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff going on, like who was a scroll, who wasn't. Was I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it was a really great story, and I can't wait to see how they're going to translate it um, to the screen. So
I
I'm
think
pretty
they'll
excited
probably
about
do. I think they'll probably do a good job because a lot of people were kind of rolling their eyes when they. It seemed like they were gonna adapt Civil War into the next Captain America movie, and that actually turned out pretty good.
Yeah, using
Yeah.
what they had already established, I think it turned out really well because
Yeah, and
there's no
also
way you can have a 99 plus issue story arc crammed into one movie with
not
everything
only
that was going on, and they did it so well with not having mutants or the Fantastic Four or some of these other properties that we haven't seen yet that are so integral to that story in the comics.
Also, it doesn't have. I'm getting on another soapbox here, but it seems like um, the whole point Mark Millar wanted to make writing Civil War is superheroes should not exist. Superheroes,
Ah.
yeah. Like, Mark Millar is a comic book writer who despises comic books. I will.
Aha.
This, uh,
Interesting.
like, and a lot of his stories I've found are really mean spirited.
I can see that. Even in the adaptations of his work is kind of mean spirited.
Actually, at least with Kick Ass, they really toned it down. They really toned
Really?
down the. Okay. So I'm going to spoilers for the original Kick Ass comic. Um, God, what was the name of the guy? Davey or like the Kick Ass. He tells the girl he's interested in, I'm not gay. I pretended I was because I liked you and wanted to be close to you. And she has several guys beat him up. And then
Oh
she
wow.
That's
sends
I
and
remember.
and
I remember
then
Kick Ass.
she's and then she sends a video of her giving some guy a blowjob.
Oh wow. Yeah, they did tone it down then.
Yeah, they Mark Millar, like I said, Mark Millar doesn't really like superhero comic or even just
Right.
comic books in general. That's the vibe I get from him. I
Well,
think they
that's
made like a couple of sequel series, and I think the third one ended with him actually becoming a cop.
oh, and Kick Ass.
Okay.
I haven't read past the second graphic novel on that, and I was into it for a long time because I like the concept of it, of these people that don't have powers. They're trying to be, I guess, good Samaritans. You could call them trying to be a good Samaritan, and
Yeah, and
so
they're
they
actually
dress up in these homemade costumes, and they either get the shit beat out of them, because they have no experience in crime fighting whatsoever, or you know, something bad usually happens happens to them. But the fact that these people want to get out and dress up in costumes, and there's actually a subculture of that. There's a documentary that you guys need to watch.
I've actually heard of it. It's like people, yeah, people just dressing up in yeah. They don't try to go fight crime, but they actually do like help people and stuff.
Right?
I
Yeah.
remember there's
Crossing
a guy
guards.
in Mexico who was like that. They called him Super Barrio.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, there's several characters. Pretty funny.
But kind of going back to Captain Marvel and um, the whole scrolls thing. I do like the idea of the scrolls being a lot more complex characters, and rather than just this uh, monolithic culture who's seem to be destined to infiltrate and destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
bad guys in general. They're actually cultured and are have a civilization and care for one another, and
Oh yeah, and there's a hint of the whole Kree Skull War, Kree Skrull
hmm
War.
right.
Yeah, if I do have a complaint about this movie, it is the villains. I don't think Jude Law is that interesting of a villain or antagonist in this film.
I agree.
It's kind of bland, and yeah, it's kind of cool to see some of the Guardians characters, even though I don't think Ronan was a great villain either.
Yeah, I was just
Not
about
really.
to say
The
Ronan
original,
felt kind of bland as well. Like,
yeah, the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie was really carried by the actual ensemble and not the villain.
No, the villain is not great. It's just James Gunn's, I guess, good job of writing and casting to make us care about these characters that most people didn't know who they were.
Yeah,
right.
like I never really read much Cosmic Marvel. I mean, yeah, everybody knows about Galactus, the guy who eats planets, and
Uh,
I will. I remember getting into arguments with this one dude at your shop, Chris. But I do like the second Fantastic Four movie because of how they did the Silver Surfer. I felt like they actually did the Silver Surfer right in this one.
I just wouldn't let Doug Jones speak the role.
Yeah, I do. I am. I'm kind of conflicted with that because he was voiced by Lawrence Fishburne.
I mean, that's cool. I just, it's just in that whole series of things where Doug Jones did the character, but they cast a more famous actor to voice the role.
Uh, did they do that with Abe Sapien?
And the first Hellboy they did, it's what is his name? David Hyde Pierce. But then in the sequel, Del Toro is like, no, it's got to be Doug Jones.
Okay, at least Del Toro did right by that. And I haven't seen Shape of Water yet. Uh, I'm I actually have it on my computer. I haven't just taken the time to sit down and watch that, but I am looking forward to that one.
Well, speaking of animals, I think Goose the cat or the Flurgan
Oh
is the
God, yeah,
MVP of this movie.
Florkin, Florkin, Durkin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to see Samuel L. Jackson just get all, oh, you're such a pretty cat, aren't you?
Right? That seems like, what? But it's kind of funny to see him like that.
And
How
then
do you feel about that's how he loses his eye, though?
I'm okay with it.
I do like that he creates the story that he was tortured, and Coulson's like, "Is it true they took out your eye because you wouldn't tell him where the Tesseract was?" And he's like, "I can't confirm or deny that story."
Yeah, he definitely did that to save face.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, Wolverine dug it out with his claw in a fight.
So,
I punched Captain America and he took my eye out.
oh, I played with a Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah.
And Chris, how do you feel about, well, it's not technically Stan Lee's last cameo, though I guess he had passed right before this film came out.
Yeah, he
'Cause
did, because they did the whole Marvel logo as a tribute to him.
Yeah. But Chris is a big Kevin Smith fan. How do you feel that his cameo is himself reading the Mallrats script?
I loved it, man. I bust out laughing every time when I saw that, man. I was just like, holy crap. Because it does make sense. You know, it's early '90s, so it'd been around the
Yeah.
time that he was gearing up to make his Mallrats cameo.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was
And
a nice.
Mallrats is actually my favorite Kevin Smith movie, so, well,
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch. I giggle inside.
I actually mentioned that scene. I remember this one meme where it was more funnier to the comic book fans, and like Captain Marvel is saying, "Are you gonna be a problem?" And you see Rogue said, "Bitch, I might be." Yeah, y'all two get it because you actually know the context behind it. But for those of you who are only familiar with the movies and not the comics, Rogue, it's like in the 90s X-Men cartoon and the comics, Rogue had the ability to fly, super strength, invulnerability, all that. And the reason she had those abilities was because she permanently absorbed them from Carol Danvers.
Yep.
Or not so much permanently, but for a very extended period of time. And also, she absorbed her memories, and they were literally the personalities were literally fighting within her, and it was driving her insane. And that's why she ended up joining the X-Men, because she was hoping Professor Xavier would be able to help her with that. And at first, the X-Men were very wary because, she's a bad guy. But in time, she ended up, proving herself to them and realizing, yes, it's like she could be a good guy. And, and even Mystique eventually, calmed her. It's like, got over it and, let her stay with them. But okay, that's the end of my comic book fanboy soapbox for now.
Well, I really enjoyed this movie. I know it got a lot of internet hate from the alpha males.
Oh God, yeah. Anyone who does not use the term alpha male anybody who uses that term alpha male unironically, go to therapy. Just go to therapy.
Yes,
and also,
yeah.
real alphas feed their pack, Chad.
Yeah.
And also, y'all are just jealous because you can't watch a movie where a female character is more powerful than a male character. How dare that happen? Also, you're just sad because you could never ever talk to Brie Larson in public because she would just like humiliate you and shun you.
Watch Aliens and be like, "Oh, Aliens is so awesome. You're rad."
Yeah, for whatever reason, Ellen Ripley is like the only thing these bros are like okay with.
Yeah. Well, or Sarah Connor.
That's true.
But then again, both of them were written by James Cameron, so.
Well,
okay. I mean, Alien was
Okay.
But
The
James Cameron does come up with what most people associate the character with as the iconic stuff
yeah,
from Aliens. But yeah, she was a character prior to James Cameron because of the original film.
yeah,
Well, in the first films, I'm not saying they were damsels in distress. They were not as strong in character as they were in their sequels.
True.
yeah. Like,
So maybe
I mean,
maybe they're lured in by that false sense of, oh, she's a damsel in distress, and then by the time the sequels roll around, they it doesn't register to them that that those characters could turn around and in turn kick their ass. You know.
yeah.
So I
Actually,
don't know. Maybe it just doesn't register with them.
yeah, because in the movie, Carol Danvers was already pretty capable of, you know, I would say defending herself at the time,
Yeah.
even before she got the powers, and um, I can kind of see that the scenes of her getting knocked down and getting back up seems a little bit heavy-handed, but you know, like TV tropes used to say, sometimes you just got to drop the anvil.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's the benefit of the casting that the movie works as well as it does.
Yeah, and and it was a nice palate cleanser after the downer ending of Infinity War.
Right. This was the tease, even though I think we got Ant-Man and the Wasp before it. But yeah, it is a nice palate cleanser, and it was nice to finally see the Captain Marvel movie because I feel like Brie Larson was announced like years before this movie came out. And
Yeah.
I think Josh Whedon wanted to introduce her in Age of Ultron, and Marvel was like, no.
Hmm. Yeah, it's even worse is like you're talking about the bros. Like there was this conspiracy theory among the bros that they made Captain Marvel they headlined her in the comics just so she would be popular so they could make the movie.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are also the same people that are saying they're going to recast her and they're going to remake The Last Jedi. Ugh.
And I guarantee you that those are QAnon believers too.
I wouldn't su- I
I
wouldn't
mean,
be
I don't know if
surprised.
all of them are, but there's probably at least 50% of them are,
Yeah.
if not higher. But yeah. But
Yeah, you know what? If one of them makes a video just basically to bash us, that's how we know we've made it.
or they're telling us that James Gunn's reintroducing the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a solid solo movie. It's not as good as the first Avenger, but I think it works. You get to bask in all that 90s nostalgia.
Oh yeah, not quite. It's like it's just hearing. It's like imagine some of the kids like, "What's Blockbuster Video?"
Yeah,
or
the
"What's
Blockbuster and the
Radio
Radio Shack
Shack?"
in the same shopping mall was
Yeah.
pretty
I
great.
mean, the dial-up joke is pretty great.
Oh God, I will. That the just the sound of dial-up internet is enough to haunt my nightmares.
That took me back. That was our first internet at my parents, like where they
That was
still.
everybody's first internet.
Yeah, it was, but I just remember it so distinctly, and yeah, it did. It took me back. Took me back.
Yeah. It's just funny, talking. He's like, man, I could have made a whole pot of coffee before the internet connected, before this Wi-Fi.
Well,
But
Yeah, it
I
is.
think it's a great movie. Like, I think it's great for for being, what they did with it. They could have gone a lot of different ways. I think it was done in a I don't know. I
Well,
like
It's
I,
a
I,
it's a
I
fun
like coding.
movie.
yeah,
I
it
hadn't
is
watched
not.
it since it came out, and again last night I watched it again for the first, what felt like for the first time, and I really really enjoyed it. I was like, man, I haven't seen this in so
Also,
long. Like,
Annette Bening as Marvell. What they did with Marvell.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the original Captain Marvel, wasn't that a male character in the comics?
Yes,
yes,
yeah, he was the alien who ends up giving Carol Danvers her powers.
Okay, right. But yeah, that was a really cool, interesting thing they did there. Like, yeah, I think this is a pretty good movie. And I don't even know if the CGI on Samuel L. Jackson's CGI or it's just Samuel L. Jackson looks good for his age.
or just
I,
caked
I,
it. It looked like a lot of makeup to me, but it could be CG.
I'm, I'm kind of torn about the de-aging people using CG. I know the technology has gotten a lot better, but yes, they could have, easily just, stuck a wig on them and, not even had to do all that much because, Samuel L. Jackson pretty much looks immortal in the first place.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Cole,
more noticeable on Coulson.
a little off. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you don't need to do CG for everything, but
right.
I think I can understand why. It's because they don't have to pay those CG people as much.
That being said, when we get to the first Ant-Man, they did a really good job in that first scene of making Michael Douglas look like he did in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did. I keep forgetting they de-aged him.
But yeah, I think this is a solid first movie. I am highly looking forward to Nia DaCosta doing the sequel with Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau in the roles. I
yeah.
think it's going to be really good. And I really enjoyed the Miss Marvel TV series. It was really heartwarming.
I
And
haven't watched it yet, but I read a lot of the original comic, the new Ms. Marvel comics.
I really liked it. I think it was touching, heartfelt, and I think the young actor who's playing the role is a fan in real life, and they do fan service in just the right amount of way.
Yeah,
Right.
it is on my list, but seeing as how Um, let's just say there are certain measures being put in place. I'm not sure when I'll be able to access it.
Mm.
Yeah, but I do want to see the rest of what's been going on because I haven't seen that. I haven't seen She-Hulk yet.
Oh, that's so much fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet either.
Yeah, but so what are going to be our next movies?
If we're staying in the MCU, the next two movies are Iron Man and Iron Man 2.
Ooh,
Back to back.
okay.
Okay.
I can definitely get behind that. Also, since you're talking about MCU timeline, I mentioned this to y'all in the chat, but I'm going to say this to our audience. We are officially on year 5 of the blip.
Well, we're still
So
Yeah.
here, damn it.
So if so, we have actually caught up to where the movies are taking place in, well, almost because yeah, everybody came back, and then we had the Hawkeye series, which happened around Christmas time, and so I think we're still 1 year off, but we are catching up to the timeline.
So I'm looking at it right now. So in game, well, it just says the year the things come out. It's not telling me the years they take place. So after in game, it says it goes through the TV shows Loki, What If, WandaVision, and then Spider-Man Far From Home, Falcon and the
Yeah,
Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Thor Love and Thunder. Does the Werewolf by Night special take place in the modern day? I guess it does, then Wakanda Forever and then the Guardians Christmas special.
yeah. I
Nice.
haven't seen Guardians Christmas special yet. I have seen Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that either. I have not seen Wakanda Forever. I'm waiting on that.
I think it drops on Disney Plus in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
But it is quite good.
Yes,
Ah,
especially with what they had to deal with.
mm-hmm.
Nice.
Time for me to take my medicine
Well,
because
I
I'm
say
old.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wind it down, guys. I mean, I think we covered both of them really well. From what we talked about, we pretty much all three really enjoyed them, and yeah, I'm ready to dive into some more Marvel.
Yeah, and basically one of the best casting choices ever since casting Patrick Stewart as Professor X or Christopher Reeve as Superman.
Right? Yeah, he was meant for that role. Like
Yeah,
he
mm-hmm.
beefed up, and he just magically turned into kind of like Hugh Jackman. Throw the claws on him, and you can't. He's Wolverine, you know. Like you
yeah.
can't imagine anyone else really being.
Which I guess is why he's coming back for the Deadpool movie.
Uh,
Oh
I,
wow! And
I'm
Secret Wars. I heard that a lot of people are returning that we thought were dead.
Interesting. Well, that'll
Yep.
be
So
whenever that comes out. Well, yep, next week will be the first two Jon Favreau Iron Man films.
yes, and I'm
excellent.
looking. I'm looking forward to discussing them, guys. And I hope all of y'all guys look forward to hearing us discussing them. So, well, good luck to everybody. I personally start back work tomorrow. All the kids come back, so uh,
Fun.
yeah, it's going to be a good time. So, um also good luck to everybody who is going back to school, either in public school or university. Where it might be a bumpy ride because COVID cases are kind of going back up. Hospitals are filling back up to capacity. So be
Oh,
careful
the
out there.
holidays.
Where are those masks? Peeps? Wear
Yep,
those
it's
masks.
still out there, guys. Wear your masks.
Yeah, I got to get my newer booster soon. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that a couple of weeks ago myself.
all right. So
All right,
take care,
guys. Well,
everybody.
All right,
See y'all next time.
all right, guys.
bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.